Nikki Ebony. Wow. Yes, we are live now. It's not 8 o'clock yet, but I'm live because I need to do a quick shout out to a perfect gentleman, and he is the Ovation International North American Bureau Chief, Mr. Tokweson. Today is his birthday. Please let's play happy birthday for him before we link up with Dr. Segun Awosanya. Segalink.
And may all your dreams come true. Happy, happy birthday.
Oh,
this is your birthday song. Celebration all night long. May all your dreams come true. We sing all together.
yes, we are live. We are live now on Instagram and on Facebook. And we're giving a shout out to Mr. Tokweson. Tokweson is our North America Bureau Chief for Ovation. Yes. I hope he's watching us from New York. Yeah. Follow Rusho, how are you? Penelope, how are you? If Tokweson is watching, please make a request and join me briefly.
Happy birthday to you. It's the perfect motivation. Feel the vibe, enjoy the
Lady Penelope, Jules Mensa, how are you?
It's a perfect situation. Hey, and hard, what a combination. Once again, this is your night, and everyone feels right.
Yes, I gave you a shout out on your birthday, Penelope, but you were nowhere to be found. I hope you kept my champagne. Where is Mr. Tokweson? Oh, Mrs. Bumi Sonya Farayola, how are you? Thanks for that. Okay, I can see Tokweson somewhere here. And that's the birthday boy. You are driving. I hope you park your car. Just a minute. I'm sending something. Wow. A busy night. How are you, Tokwe? Can you please reduce the volume of your microphone?
Yes. Can you hear me, sir?
Good. I can hear you. How are you, Tokwe?
I'm very well, sir. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. I'll leave you in a second. I just wanted to wish you happy birthday. Your world, how good you are. You have been very good. Ovation International, you are a perfect
yes.
Your kind is very rare. Very, very rare. And I want to say it publicly. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
All you do for us from New York. Welcome your wife and enjoy the rest of your birthday. Take care.
Thank you, sir. Have a good one. Thank you, sir.
Drive carefully.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So now we go to Dr. Segun Awosanya. This is one of my favorite friends and brothers on social media. This gentleman is so good, is so impactful, and I will let him speak for himself. He's so efficient. He's here already. He's wasting no time. I've been looking forward to this day, and I'm happy this day has arrived finally. Yes, yes, yes. Hey, doctor.
Good evening, sir. It's a
Let's
privilege being on your program.
camera. Yeah, let's have you closer to the camera. We want
Okay.
to see your distinguished face. You always look so distinguished, and then with that sprinkle of gray hair, it looks very, very good.
I've been trying to get rid of it, but it's not going anywhere.
No, it's your signature. It's your signature. Thank you so much for joining me, Dr. Segun Awosanya. We all call him Sega Link. He's going to tell us where he got Sega Link from tonight. But before we start the conversation, we have our protocol, and we will play a song for you, and then we'll take it from there. Maybe Sonia, let them say. It should be a good one to say. And let's say, Mr. Ashim Martin, all the way from Ghana. I'm live right now on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, and on the YouTube. Happy to see you. Happy to see you, Mr. Ashim Martin. Thank you. Eh,
The song has a lot of it has a lot of memories. As in, the song is like a data bank.
We'll talk about this. We'll talk about this. Let them say. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Good evening, Dr.
Good evening, sir.
Awosanya, otherwise
You know,
known.
I don't use titles.
Well, I've decided to use your title for you because you've earned it. You've earned my respect. I followed you very closely on social media, and we became friends. And today I have an opportunity to speak to a great Nigerian, a proud son of Africa. So
Thank you
how are
very
you?
much, sir. I'm doing good, and I'm feeling very great being here, sitting live before you, because you're one of my role models. You know, growing up, I always sneak through my brother's Ovation magazine, which is always in nylon like this. So I always look at it. I always imagine how it feels for one to actually be directly behind the camera or to interview all those people. You know, I remember your trip into the Yemoja and the rest, in those years. And I was just marveling at the things the ideas that people have. And it also helped me a lot.
Wow, that was Chief Fernandez. Yeah, one
Yes,
of the
Fernandez. Yeah.
Ambassador Antonio Dende Fernandez.
Yeah,
Great man,
exactly. Exactly.
great memory. Okay, so I've refused to read anything about you. We've decided on this program that we want to allow our guests to speak for themselves. So I'm not going to push questions that are not necessary to you. So who
Okay.
is Tegalink? Because that's what I call you. And take
Yeah.
your time, don't be in a rush. We have all the time in the world. Instagram have been very kind to us, so we have all the time in the world. So we're not going to go
Okay.
on any. Please go on.
Thank you very much. I always like to simply say Segun Awosanya is a random, ordinary Nigerian who has decided to take on active citizenry, or take on responsibility in society to play his own role and to contribute, his own little quarter to humanity. But basically, because over the years I grew up seeing a lot of concepts and constructs that had shackled us in the past, to the point where we started beginning to feel that if you don't have certain degrees, you can't do certain things, to begin to ascribe certain duties to certain people because of their educational opportunity or opportunity that they had going to school and the rest. So I didn't really want to put my foot in that kind of footpath by misleading people into believing there are certain rules to life. So with that, I jettisoned, I stripped myself bare of all titles, stripped myself bare of all anything that may mislead any other person, and presented myself as an ordinary Nigerian citizen. But ideally, there must be a journey somewhere in everybody's life. There's always a journey where you're coming from. I came from a humble background. I was born to parents who are ordinary citizens, civil servants, retired teacher, and an executive civil servant in Abuja, who worked in several ministries and was one of the pioneering civil servants or bureaucrats who went to Abuja to open up Abuja as a new capital territory. In those days, integrity lies within public service, where people who work there, actually work towards their company, the progress of their country, with the hope that their company, when they are old, will pay them back in gratuity and the rest. But of course, my parents were very disappointed. They were heartbroken, and they were also victims of Nigerian society, as it were. So I made a vow since then, never, to toe the line of it next level. You know how it is, the indoctrination that suggests that we should go to school, get indoctrinated, receive 2 cardboards, an NYSC certificate and a school living certificate from university or certificate or BSc, and then begin to feel entitled that the country or the nation owes us. So I decided to change that course by having a purpose, a reason behind going to school, because I was opportune to understand the educational system and the disparities between what we have in Nigeria and elsewhere. So Segun Awosanya, in brief, is a land economist, a realtor at an SS Survey and Valuer, a media, tech, research, business, and strategic digital communication consultant who is also deeply involved in social engineering and nation building via his numerous advocacies that has helped Nigerians find succor. I enlightened young Nigerians daily from my Segalink and Segalink Twitter handles, Segalink Quora handles, and also Instagram, Segalink Instagram handle, towards political awareness, towards social economic development, towards political participation and national integration. I have realized over the years that lack of inclusion, some people think that in the best way in which you can build a society is to create a we against them, have the 1% and the 99%, or create exclusion, to exclude some people and have resources, lopsided in one area, so that some people can continue to want for it while the other oppresses them and then begin to rub it in their faces, so that maybe some people believe with that they will work harder in order to cross to the other side. But again, there is no crossing after a while. Sometimes geography is destiny. So I have decided to use my leadership by example from where I am, to begin to break all those molds so that people can actually rise, they can actually aspire, they can actually dig deep into themselves and realize that God has actually endowed everyone and we all have something unique about us to give to society. So basically, I'm a civil rights leader in Nigeria, a social justice advocate, a convener of NSAS, Reform Police NG, which is one of the most popular advocacies that we've run in Nigeria. Also the president and founder of Social Intervention Advocacy Foundation, CIAF, and the CEO of Aliens Media Limited, which is a crisis management firm. And there are several, I serve on several boards of several companies across board, oil and gas, real estate, governance, security, and what have you. There are so many things I don't say about myself that people don't really know because it is not necessary. And the only thing that I do commercially that I might call commercially or to the public is the advocacies, because most of the businesses that I'm into, the things that I'm equipped for, is not actually tailored to the common man. It is tailored to the HNIs, high network individuals, the likes of the Dele Momodu, Dr. Dele Momodus of this world, and the rest of them. So, and I feel that it is necessary that if you have such a purpose in life, or such a delineated business structure, there must always be something you give back. So I have dedicated, since inception, like 40% of all my earnings towards public advocacy, in order to bring a better society that we're going to live there. And because I also learned deeply from all the past celebrities, all the past socialites we have in our society, people like Bobby Benson and the rest that we grew up to know, and we've seen the trajectory. I don't want to set that kind of record where once you are no longer alive, nothing else is remembered of you. There must be an impact. There must be an influence of society, enough for people to have their name, to have your name etched in their hearts, even in the hearts of their children's children. And the only way that can happen is if we begin to work towards bridging institutional gaps on a national scale, towards creating an integrated society that is connected by ideas and common ground of leaving a sustainable legacy for all our children and generation unborn. And this is what we have been doing since the past 10 years now.
Okay.
I hope that has nothing to, it wasn't too long an introduction.
I will call that a summary of your life.
Yeah.
But what I want are details of your life. So we're going to now go back to the early days. We'll start from your primary school.
Yeah.
Because those are your formative years.
Yeah.
A lot of people will see you today, you are very successful, but what I want our viewers to learn is, how did it happen? So Tell us your primary, your secondary. That's why I said we're not in a rush at all.
Okay.
And give us instances of what happened that you never forgot.
Okay.
Along the way, during the epic journey.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting that people will look at someone with a loud voice like myself and think, oh, he must have grown up in areas probably with a silver spoon stuck in his ears, and his father must have been, probably when he was growing up, he lived in the sky, in the plane and all. It wasn't so. I have a very humble background. A lot of people you see say, I have a humble background. No, if there's anybody who has a very humble background, it would be myself, because I was born into a family of four. I have three other siblings, and I'm the last born of the family. And I'm the grandchild of an imam. So we all went to Ilekeu. We all have what's it called? All these Arabic teachers come to the house to teach us Arabic. We all have people around us, so we're grounded and groomed, not as Christians or as Muslim and all. We're actually free to choose whichever one we want, because my mother remained a Christian. Later, my father converted into Christianity. And we are born into a royal house, in the Paripete ruling house of Agoiwe. But of course, because I don't really talk about, I'm a nationalist, and people don't really care about my religion or where I'm from. But my parents actually hail from Ogun State in Agoiwe. And from that background, we normally go home when we're young. I mix up with a lot of people. I see a lot of things. I enjoy that environment and scenery and everything and all, and from there we was being taught responsibility, how we don't just live for ourselves, and how we have to be mindful of our community. We're taken to through working in the town, and also going to farm at certain times, so we experience both lives. So coming to Lagos, my parents, I think I became conscious of my environment when we were in Isaleko, which was where I was born, at I think it's Massey Square Hospital or something, in Lagos, very close to Muson Center. Because I was born actually the very year in 1976, the very year, a few days after, I think after the assassination of, I was born before the assassination of Murtala Mohammed. Yes, because my mother was still in the hospital when chaos, all hell broke loose some streets away. So they abandoned us in the hospital. So that was one of the first welcome that I had in Nigeria. It was a tumultuous experience for me, even as a child. So we're there, we're just alone. The nurses have fled, the doctors have fled, we're alone and all. And so mom used to tell me all those experiences. And because of the gaps, our parents actually spaced their children. to the point where you can fit a village in between each one. So with that, our firstborn, secondborn, and all, they are more or less uncles to me. So the age gaps were serious. So by the time my mother had me, she had lost patience for raising children as such. So she expected me to know so many things. So I was responsible on time. I got my epiphany early in life, right before I was 10 years old. So I didn't have the luxury of being a child as such. I didn't have a luxury of doing certain things or making mistakes or doing certain things that a normal child would do. So I was ushered into a life of choice, a life of responsibility quite early. So when I got to primary school, I didn't actually get to, when we changed environment from Misaleko in Shagbemi Street down to Ojota I'm sure people know where Ojota is, down to Ojota, there were actually, the schools there were just, they're like community schools and the rest. And there was just one nursery school there called Bright Star Nursery School. I'm sure they must have removed the signs and the of that school now, because I guess the owner of the school went into politics and sold all the land. But as at that time, it was a playing field and all, was a playing ground, and there was a small building, and then privileged parents, teachers, people who are teachers who have, socialites brought their children to that particular school, because it takes a lot before you can get into that school. You have to be very intelligent. And when I came in, I used to watch other children go to school in their school uniform from the balcony of our house, number 31 on Latingy Street then. So I used to watch them. And then my mom they actually homeschooled me for like a year. So over the years, I kept feeling, when am I going to join my colleagues? Because I started reading at a very tender age, at the age of 3, because mommy takes me to school. She was a teacher, she was transferred from different places in Lagos, until she went to Methodist High School or so to teach or so. So I was always being carried to our class. So sometimes you will bring me out to come and read to the students who are more or less like parents. They are big and huge and all. You say, if my child can read, you don't have any excuse. So mom was known for her strictness and all, and we're not spared. So by the time I got into school, I was more than prepared. So I didn't spend a long time in nursery school, because I cleared all the sums and all. So within that same year, I was sent to primary school, which was very, very unusual. So I got into primary school. I was very small statured and all, primary 1, 2, 3, like that. And from the moment I started growing, people started seeing something in me that I probably didn't know I had.
Internet wahala.
Until I got to primary 6, when I became the senior prefect of my school. What do you call them? Head boy of my school. So that was where the journey of responsibility also started, because as at that time, as the head boy of the school, I cannot afford to take things for granted. I cannot afford to do things anybody else is doing. I have to take charge. Even though I was small, people have that respect for me. Academically, I was sound according to them, because to me then, I didn't see it as competitive. I saw it as one of those things that was my nature. So I was just expressing myself as I go along. I didn't see myself as doing exceptionally well, because teachers rarely talk to me, because I'm always sitting wherever I am and focusing on my book. When it's closing time, take my bag and go home, because of the kind of parents that I have. So there was a time mommy came to school. So I overheard them talk. She was just talking to my teacher, and she was like, he's very good. He does this, he does that. He's always sitting in one place. He's always this and that. And that was the first time I heard the story of my life from somebody else, because mommy would never encourage me. My mom is always making you feel inadequate. Then I saw it as a vice. Then I saw it as maybe she doesn't like me, maybe she felt I shouldn't have come. Maybe she was okay, because there's something that was constant that my mom used to say to me in order to make me sit up. He used to say 3/4 is pass mark. And that word normally haunts me everywhere I go. 3/4 is my meaning. To bá jẹ́ wo ló máa jẹ́ mechanic láàrin àwọn ọmọ tí mo bí, mo ti pass. Because she believed so much in the rest of the children, not because she hated me. I didn't see it as hate. I saw it as a challenge for me. Why? Because the rest of my siblings listened to mommy, and they will execute mommy's plan as presented. Rebosic stantibus, as it stands. But for me, I will always argue. Then that was where I learned advocacy from. Anyways, my mother take offense at everything, because only or whatever it is. I'm very sorry to use an apothegm before you. You're an elder, and you're also a professor in Yoruba, so you understand all these things deeper than I do. And so you cannot you can't, there's certain, when mommy is, I'd rather have mommy use knife on me than talk to me, because when she uses her words on me, you know, when you are hot in places where you cannot touch, you know, you're hot
Punch you.
all over the place. It's always terrible, and it always follows you everywhere you go. It echoes in your mind when you sleep. It echoes in your mind in the bedroom. It follows you to school. It affects your mood. It forms a cloud over your head. So all these things are things that actually, you know, formed me or forged me. Anywhere I go, I always remember the son of whom I am. And I don't always want my mother's prophecy to come to pass. I don't want to. Mommy has already told me, there was a point he told me, I have already bought your mechanic uniform. It's just badge that is remaining. You know, because I always put her in a position where she cannot win me in superior arguments. Because I always tell her, okay, mommy, you want me to do this? You want me to do things this way? But how about this? Or have you ever thought about this way? Even though she agrees with my new idea, she would never want to make me feel that she was ever wrong. So the problem escalated when I left primary school to secondary school. She kept saying, every time she sees my results, she will fling it over her shoulder. When she sees first, she will say, so, and meaning, and in the land of the blind, a one-eye man, a cyclop, is actually their leader. And I keep telling her, there's no other school as good as my school in this environment. So I couldn't have been a one-eye man in the land of the blind. Every single person around me are intelligent as well. But mommy did not take it. Mommy believes there's something that she knows that they don't know. You understand? So it was, and our childhood is not like now. Now, if any of our children, you know, go through the things that I went through, I would personally sue them for child endangerment, you know. But here we are. This was our foundation. So when I went to secondary school, and the whole trend continued, and she keeps saying, oh, the summary that came from primary school I see in your secondary school. So don't let this force that you are carrying fool you. You are not all that. So I kept looking for means in which I can further express myself to please my mother. And in the process, of course, sometimes I'll come home telling mommy, look, we need this in school, we need that in school. Mommy will tell you, listen, why do you always want to present a posturing that you are from a family that is well off? Let them cane you like every other person for not bringing this thing to school. Okay? So you will not die. Face it. Don't let them respect you anything. We don't have the money. Yeah, kill me. I don't have the means. I won't go and steal. Your father is there in Abuja. We don't know when he comes. But every time he shows up, you will run ahead and go and hug him as if we are not alive. You know, so there are several things that was going on in our mind. And because I was the closest to her, the rest are already all over the place. I was alone with her. So she poured all our emotions, all our troubles, everything. She weaponized them against me, thinking, Kilomodemo. But the Omode that she was dealing with is somebody who could process a lot of things, who incubates a lot of things and who learns from them. Under normal circumstances, if any single millennia went through what I went through as a child, they will become a terrorist, naturally. Every element, every element is there because you already have everything you need as an excuse. If I were abroad, I would say, yes, I will blame it on my mother. I will go and tell his shrink that this was what I went through. This is my kind of childhood, and that's why I'm blowing up buildings. So, which is one of the reasons why I learned in my earlier age that in our heart lies different choices that we can actually make. In our hearts lies good and evil. There's nobody who is absolutely good and there's nobody who's absolutely evil. It depends on which one you feed. So I kept on feeding the good part of me so that I can always be good to my environment, not because I don't know that I have a dark side. I'm aware of my dark side. I'm aware of a lot of other things. So when I got to secondary school, and I realized that it actually affects me negatively, emotionally, and it causes depression for me each time I approach my mother asking for anything. So I learned from that moment on that dependency is not a value proposition. In other words, you coming to put your burdens on somebody who is still thinking of how to make ends meet. And I must stress this. It wasn't that mommy wasn't financially well off. My mother was a socialite. She was the head of everything. She started everything in the societies in our church, Methodist Church. She started a lot of things on the streets. She belongs to, if you're going to count the top 10 socialite in Ojota community, my mother is one of them. There's no party that will happen that my mother will not buy. All our friends are from Ikorodu. So you can imagine what I mean as at that time. So there's no property owner in Ikorodu that we don't know. The genesis, the history and all. They are mommy's friends. So mommy, this is somebody who has wardrobes upon wardrobes of head ties. So it's not that she doesn't have, the means, but she wanted this particular child to be different. She doesn't want me to be a compliant person. And at the same time, she doesn't want to build a weapon that will be against her. So bridging that gap was difficult. So at GSS2, I struck a business plan that, look, I am not going to go back to my mother and be demanding over PTA, over development levy, over whatever. So at some point, my mother would say, share one one school. Are you the only one in the school? Let them kill you. Tell them I said I have given you to them, let them kill you because you did not bring over development. So with that, I started working earlier. Because I spent a lot of time with myself. I didn't really mix with other children like as much. I could draw, I could paint, I could do so many things. So I was doing a lot of things. There are times when I would just sit down, draw comics, panel it, tell a story for my mates, and they will put money together and pay me for the story. Because I could tell a lot of stories. I tell wonderful stories as a kid and all. So people always come around to listen to me in school. And also I was kind of bright, so I teach whatever people don't get. They find it easy to come and ask me, Sega, come and teach us this, come and teach that. And they called me Sega then from GSS classes because I love to play games a lot. And also because my name is Segun Awosanya. So just instead of calling him Segun, and because I don't speak Yoruba, so that time I learned Yoruba very late in life. I don't speak Yoruba at all. So I speak only English because of the way we were brought up. But now my parents, before they passed, they refused to speak English to our kids. So the tables kept on shifting. Anyway, so in school, I started working. After a while, I discovered that the drawing sheet we were using in school as a GSS2, that it was inferior. When you put a compass on it, there's a hole automatically on it, and it's always, messing up the drawings and all. So I decided to say, okay, let me go to a printing press. Then there was one printing press on the other side of our street called Toolawi, printing press. So I went there and I went to them that, look, all the papers you cut off when you are preparing your papers and all, is there a way I could buy them? And they said, I would throw them away. I said, well, can I get them? So from there, I got them. I look at the grammages and everything. And I said, how often can you be supplying me this? They say, well, I do throw it away anyways. If you can be coming to pick them every day, no problem. So after school, I always go and pick those drawing sheets. I cut them into the right sizes for our drawing boards. And I presented it to the school that, well, how about this? Before I presented it, I started using it for my own drawings. So when they saw how neat my technical drawings were, how wonderful my drawings are, and how good everything looks, they said, where do you normally get your drawing sheets? So I gave it to my IT teacher. My IT teacher at that time was teaching IT to the junior classes, and I was teaching intro tech to GSS students and some other, then later technical drawing to other people, in higher classes. So from there, he saw the drawing sheet and said, I've been trying to look for where they get this kind of drawing sheet, but they can't find. So with that, myself and my colleagues that actually went to find that particular drawing sheet, they called the three of us together, but we're about 3 or 4. So called us together and said, okay, 3 of you, I'm going to make you responsible. Get this drawing sheet, get it into the hands of the people who sell normal drawing papers. Then it used to be drawing book that they used to tear for us. So they gave those, so they said, supply these people and let them sell at regulated prices. And that was how we started business. So we're making maybe 50 kobo. I think the drawing sheets were 50 kobo. So we're making 20 kobo or 30 kobo on every drawing sheet bought by the entire school. And that was where it started. So we supplied drawing sheets. I was like, I think I got into, I was like 13 thereabout, between 13 and 15.
School.
Sir? The secondary school is Ojota Secondary School. You can't miss it. Ojota Secondary School is very close to the garage. It's on Ikorodu Road. You can't miss it. In fact, most of my seniors are in the garage. Very soon, they didn't go too far from the school. So it's so till we graduated school, all the drawing sheets were bought from our firm. And that was when we started developing the idea of making a business that will not require our presence. So it started from there. But of course, I didn't sit down there. Of course, the drawing sheet has nothing to do with us. All we have to do is just get it in the hands of the people that sells normally in the school. They pay us, and then they pay the business and all. So we don't even, after a while, we didn't even know how money was coming. It was just coming. So I was able to buy my bag. I was able to buy the kind of uniform that I want, not the one that they will give to a carpenter and force me to wear to school and be looking like a clown. So I started designing my clothes from that moment on. Until date, all the shirts, everything that I wear are designed by me. Because I have to shop in the children's section because of my size. No size in London. So because of that, I design my clothes, I design everything that I wear, and it has always been like that. So everything you see today were amplifications of things that have been formed right from when I was growing up. So when I left, when I got to SS3 or so, I became the head boy of the school, the senior prefect of the school. Even though right from GSS1, when the principal, Mrs. Ogumba Miche, she's late now, when she saw me at first, the first time she saw me, that was in uniform. Before she saw me in uniform, when I came to school, I came late. I just heard that, primary school, oh, you have started registering, and all. You have not done this, you have not done that. I didn't know, because my parents believe that admissions must be brought to you at home. My father doesn't believe in you going to go and beg anybody for admission. They believe that they will knock your door and give it to you. That's their belief, and they died with that belief because they believed in a Nigeria that will work for them. So as at that time, I was telling mommy, they had started admission and saying, hey, what do I expect her to do? To run outside and throw away a wrapper and start running because I'm the only one that will go to school in my family. So I should go and do that. They now pointed to one of my schoolmates. They said, Kabiru has never.
A break in the internet.
Ogi early in the morning before he goes to school. That where will Kabiru get money or somebody to go to school for him? That I should put myself in the shoes of Kabiru and go and help myself. So I got to school. I managed to gather all the things that we needed. I got there, I wanted to register. They said, no, you can't come to school without a cutlass, broom, and this and that. I said, how much is cutlass? How much is broom? I went there quickly. As at that time, this was just GSS1. I've not started this. I went home and said, Mommy, they said we should bring this. The way my mother drove me away. In fact, I felt that moment that I was adopted. But I still found a way to get the cutlass, get the broom, got everything. Went to school. By the time I got there, they say, sorry, it's too late. You have to process. I know that if admission process, I know that if I miss that admission process, I will be thrown to Ogudu Grammar School. And that Ogudu Grammar School, I don't like the trajectory of students that I see from that place. I always see them on the news. They disrupt entire sports. Their uniform looks like mechanic uniform already. So that means nobody will notice the difference when I cross over. So I said,
They will fight you tonight.
So I said, no, this cannot be my portion. I must get this admission. So I started crying. So the principal said, there's no need to cry. Just come on Monday. I said, no, I have to register today. They said, there's no way. See, look, the page, they have gotten to a point where that place they used to write, do not write beyond this margin. That's the only place left. I have to go and drag. And thankfully, Daddy was around. So I dragged Daddy. I said, Daddy, you must come because a mechanic workshop, and follow Mommy's prophecy. So he said no. So Daddy followed me that day. He came to school. And the moment the principal saw my dad and saw my dad's business card, she just went on her knees. Oga, what have you doing here? I never knew my dad was that important anyway. So he was, what are you doing here? This and that and that. What is it? So my dad said, no, there's no problem. I just came. My son said he wasn't able to register. So I wanted to know what the problem was. He said, no. Right there and then, they squeezed my name inside, that's do not write beyond this margin. That was where they put my name on. That was why I entered the Just Secondary School. So that was my first encounter. But at the end of the day, when I started wearing uniform in GSS1, the principal saw me one day and carried me. Not because she remembered that I was the son of anybody. She just saw me and she liked what she saw. Took me to the assembly, raised me up like Simba in Lion King, and said, this is the role model of this school. This is how every responsible student should look. And that was how everybody started seeing me as a teddy bear, right from GSS1 till my SS3 when I became the head boy of the school. And I had a lot of opportunities. At SS1, when I was in GSS3, I started further maths with people in SS1 and SS2. Not because I was qualified. I was just available on Saturdays to come around to sit in the classes. And I was interested. And that was how I started learning further maths. And that further maths gave me a lot of opportunities in my higher education. And also at SS1 or before SS1, I went for this action health training by there's this organization in Bagada now, Youth Center or so. Action Health, they call them. They trained me as a peer health educator. So from there, I was educating my peers about sexual awareness, about drugs, about so many things. So I was going to schools to speak and to do stuff at a very tender age. So when I became the head boy, it wasn't surprising to a lot of people. So another dilemma. By the time I finished secondary school, Mommy came with a genius idea that I must study medicine. And I said, Mommy, there's no point me studying medicine after all I've been through. I know you very well. I can't come home and say I need this textbook, and I will start hearing the history of my father and my lineage. Okay, and also I don't want to. From the way I've seen my upbringing, I will be too strict to become a doctor. I don't want to be narrow-minded. I want to be able to do a lot of other things. I want to engage with a lot of things. I want to be able to do so many things in society outside what I read in school. So I want to. I said that Kole, it's not hard. They said they don't tell a child not to be leprous. That it is if he has determined to stay in the forest alone, that he should make his decision by himself. In other words, that if I like, I should go and do anything I like, that our hands are not there. So I said, no problem. I will do medicine. So that was how I started my medicine journey. I wrote JAMB 2 or 3 times, waiting for medicine. I got botany, I got physiology, I got aerology, I got ecology. There's nothing logy that I did not get aside from medicine. I didn't get medicine. So, and I was telling Mommy, I said, Mommy, look, it's not that I scored high grades, I scored this and that. Can you please allow? And Mommy wanted Unilag because she does not want to pay for travel fees. She wanted very close by and everything. I said, Unilag is even hell. There was a day I was joking with one of my auntie. I said, I'm going to go to that the way this medicine thing is taking time. And I think I'm going to do what my mind says, and which is my sister was an estate surveyor and valuer. She studied estate management in school. And because my sister likes to relax a lot, she doesn't like stress in her life. She normally tells me to come and read to her while she sleeps. And by the time I read her notes to her, she sleeps. By the time she wakes up, she has all my voice in her head. She'll just go and pour it down in the exam and she'll score very high. So I got interested in what I've been reading to her ears. So I started taking interest in valuation, taking interest in project planning and so many other things. So I fell in love with estate management from right there and then. And I visited our office before where she had IT. Her boss then, Alhaji Muriadi, used to tell me, this little boy is going to be my manager one day. He's going to be my manager one day. That's like joke. And I told myself, I think this speaks to me. I think I like this profession. I think this is what I want to do. Because it will enable me to learn a lot of things because it's a jack of all trade, master of all. It takes you through every profession. It makes you an authority in different fields. Because there's no how you will not want to invest in real estate, regardless of what you're doing. There's no how you will not do property management at some time. There's no how you not need investment advisory. There's no time you not study land economics somewhat, no matter where you are or who you are. You want to understand what land economics is all about. So with that, I said, this is exactly what I'm looking for, an opportunity to do stuff. But still, while I was waiting for medicine, I still had an opportunity to still go back to school to teach people, prepare them for WAEC, and also to go and do laboratory assistance in hospitals and some other things. So I was able to learn so much. I was doing arts. In fact, in Ojota, in the entire Koshofe local government or so, there is no barber shop that you see that does not have my signature on it. I've done the graffiti, the drawings. When you go to the barber shop, in those days, I always think, why will you bring children here and they'll be screaming and shouting and all because the place looks like an Alagemo house. Always white and looking funny with terrible drawings on the walls. So I said, no, you can make it fun. So I started drawing and doing murals. We were very rich with that, myself and my partner then, Ibrahim. So we're drawing, in fact, to K2, to Ojota, to Alakpere. They know us. Sagai Sega, that's what we call our business then. We ran a lot of people out of town. Those people who used to draw giraffe and call it rats, they were out of business because so we're making a lot of money. So the money wasn't the issue. And we also have a club, a small club where we bring in students from different schools, Ojota, Baptist Academy and different, they come to our house to draw. There's a small club to do comics. We do all these things. We teach them. Do you know that every single child who participated in that, they are running different agencies and media houses today. The creative director of Noah's Ark was one of our students in those days. We used to sleep on the carpet to draw. So many of them. So we were impacting everything we're doing now on a large scale. We're doing it then on a small scale because the morning shows the day. So at the end of the day, I told my mom, Mommy, please, I am tired of waiting for aerology and goteology and the rest. Let me go and follow my dreams. He said, go and do anything you like. I've already removed my hand from your case because, of course, my uncles will come, take me to strange lands. I wrote exams in different parts of Southwest. They will take me to Ijebu-Igbo, take me to Ijebu-Ode, because Mommy want to be sure that is this guy really bright or is just a local champion. Everywhere they took me to, I'm always topping the list in all the exams. I went to grammar school to write exams. I topped the list. I went to a Feso Wokpo. I don't even know where that place is in Ogun State. I went there. There was no place. I went to Muslim school to write exams. So it wasn't easy. But eventually, mommy just gave up and said, you know what, go and do whatever it is. Follow your heart. So eventually, I was saying it in my mind that I was going to go to Yaba College of Technology, because as the case may be, also in my family, in fact, not just my siblings alone, even my mommy's brothers and the rest, none of their children went to university. So it was beginning to look like it was our portion to go to Polytechnic. And I said,
Wow.
no, it's not going to be, I'm not going to accept any concept or construct as my own limitation. We are going to break the limits. So I said, I was talking to my cousin one day and their husband, that when I'm going to go to Yaba Tech and I'm going to cross over from Yaba Tech to Unilag, you should see the way they laughed at me. They laughed hysterically to the point where they were rolling on the floor. They were so, as in, I was more or less depressed. I felt, what have I said that made them feel that I was joking, or that made them feel, it was like a fable to them, like something out of your, that what do you think? What do you think you are? Who do you think you are? In the whole family, even those of us that traveled abroad and came back, we didn't go to university. You want to say, okay, let's watch you. But as God may have it, I wrote jam that year. And while I was doing this, to tell you how depressing this was, everybody that I've taught in school, that I've helped to write jam, to help to do WAEC and all, they went to school, gained admission. Some of them even graduated before I gained admission. But I wasn't feeling bad. Of course, mommy used to say that, instead of you, by now, if you are a mechanic, by now you will have been counting your customers. You understand? This one that you are trying, this one that you are trying to be stubborn. Anyways, maybe I want to go to school and everything like that. But I keep telling her, I said, mommy, there's no Egbe in the world. There's no classmate anywhere. Your morning is your day. It is when I wake up that is my morning. And as far as I'm concerned, I am not on anybody's level. I am not comparing myself with anybody. I am not living a life of I better pass my neighbor. I am not measuring myself with anybody. I am only comparing myself with who I was yesterday. They say, so who are you? I said, I am Segun Awosanya. I am a prince. And I'm also somebody who will make the name of this family proud. They say, from where to where? When there are 3 people ahead of you who will have finished the job. Anyway, anything you like, go and do it.
A
Just
prince
remember
of
that. She said, just remember that 3/4 is pass mark. That's all. And then I said, okay, no problem. So eventually, I gained admission into Yaba College of Technology to read estate management. When I got to school, of course, I faced another problem. I have a very small stature. So when I was in school, the people I met there were even older than myself. Most of them were already in their 30s. And they looked at me and said, this one just passed the primary 6 exam and came straight here because his mother is close to the rector. So you think you just come here and do the rubbing shoulder? I asked them for notes because I came late to school. And they were like, no, I'm not going to give you any notes. That you should struggle like everybody else. In this school that people are carrying over, using 2-year course for 4-year this thing. You want to come and be rubbing shoulder with us. Sit down there. So of course, I have to work harder. And over time, it wasn't long before we started doing tests and exams, and then they started hearing the name. Is it that little boy that is coming here to chant us and all? Of course, it's school now. So before you know it, I started taking tutorials. Further math, kinematics, add maths, advanced mathematics and all. Those ones that I learned in school. People from accounting, from different places used to come and in the evening to come and to the theater to come and listen to me. So when I saw that the crowd was getting too much, in order to discourage them, I just told one of my friends to be charging them for gate fee. We're charging how much then? Maybe 500 naira or 300 naira or 200 naira then. And they will come. The place will be filled up. And, accounting also. So there are many things that have been keeping people back in school that I could teach easily. And I was just teaching and I was making a lot of money. On rag day in school, people will leave arts department and come to my hostel. I was also a cadet officer because when I got into school, my family also, my uncle was a general in the army. He was a daffer of the Nigerian army at some time, General Awosanya, and with that, I was almost going to NDA, but for Abacha crisis, which actually impacted on my family a lot because they kept telling us, so you think the army is for your family alone. You have your cousin here, you two want to come here and everything. So it affected us. So I had to just downgrade again to civilian life and everything and decided to go to Yaba Tech eventually. So when I got to Yaba Tech, I just had to join the cadets because I know that, number one, getting a room in Yaba Tech is going to be Herculean. There's no how you could get a room unless you are part of the security system of the school. As a cadet officer, you stay in the barracks at least before you can find your footings and all. And then I also I also believe that if I don't have something to fill in that activity, because I'm always busy, if I don't have something to fill in the activity, I may have a relapse. So I decided to say, okay, let me join the cadet and everything. I joined the cadet. I was fit. I was okay. I was doing well. It wasn't even too long before I became part of the member of the command council. After doing a lot of things and proving myself in the place, and I kept my academic up. So things were going well for me. Rag day will come. Everybody will want me to paint their face. They will pay something also for that. So we're making money from almost everywhere. And that's where I formed the concept of not multiple streams of income, but multiple streams of creating value. You see, when you bring value in multiple streams, people will reward you for it. Will attract money. I wasn't working for money. I never worked for money. I don't know how to write application. I've never written an application in my life. Every job that I found myself on, apart from my IT days, which I did with renowned professionals who gave me the foundation for understanding the principles of everything, principles, ethics, and ethos of anything I put my hands on. So with that, I had that foundation, professional foundation, which I built on. So with that, it was quite easy for me. So from school, I was able to get my results in shape, and we were one of the first sets to cross over from Yaba College of Technology to University of Lagos. So with that, we broke the jinx. So those things that was sounding like a joke to my family, eventually became a reality. So I believe that there's no limitation anywhere unless that which you set for yourself. So I got into Unilag. I did not think because I've crossed over from Yaba Tech, where most people are carrying their babies to come and rewrite their exams, that I've done something in life. I don't believe in arrivals. I don't believe in I have arrived. There's no arrival. Life is a journey. So you have to enjoy the journey, because those who arrive are dead. So I don't want to die. I don't want to perish. I want to continue to enjoy the journey. So I make sense out of my journey, and I make it something that I can actually write about or speak about or show somebody about, show the world about, or teach the world about, So, and that's actually helped me a great deal. I went to Unilag, and all through Unilag, University of Lagos, I didn't get myself married in all these SUGs and the rest. Even while I was in Yaba Tech, I was a deciding factor in the Student Representative Council before they scrapped, Student Union. When I got to Unilag, I was also a formidable advisor of the Student Representative Council. In our class, we have class governors. I intentionally did not want to be any governor, but no decision gets made in that class unless it was signed off by some of us who are like the think tank behind the governor. So it was always like that. We play leadership position without pushing ourselves forward. And that was where we begin to curate that ideology of you can actually express leadership from wherever you are. You don't need to carry a toga of or be in any political position before you actually activate stuff. So that was where I started nurturing that ideology right from the things that we're doing. Because the college I was just Yaba College of Technology. Okay. The Yaba College of Technology that was coming from, we were in charge of the school security system. We are the security of the school. Police don't come into Yaba College of Technology. It's the cadets that handle everything. Whether Wasi is coming, Sonia Ade is coming, Fela Nikolapo is coming, it is the cadets that handle the whole thing. And they are students. Exceptional students for that matter. So that's exactly how it is. So when I got to Unilag, I just carried over whatever it is I was doing there. And then we're doing fine until I graduated. So in my school then, as at that time, those who went to school with me will tell you that no lecturer can waltz into class and say you're having a test now. No, there must be decorum. They will say, have you told Sega? That was the first thing they will tell him. And say, hey, so who is Sega? Of course, if they don't tell Sega, well, Sega doesn't have, because human rights at that time was fundamental to me. You can't come in and bully anybody, because we are unfortunate enough to not to have experienced leadership or taste what true leadership means. All we had been dictatorship or military interregnum at some point. So I don't want to leave that as a legacy to anyone. Neither do I want to normalize oppression. So when you come into class and you want to say you want to do this, we will tell you that no, we cannot, this can't be done. It will not be done, and it will not be allowed. And we'll all work out, professionally, intelligently, without insulting anybody. So of course they will go and report and say, we insulted them or whatever. In those days, I remember my HOD used to say, pastor, so in other words, pastor, they said you beat your teacher. Of course, they will have exaggerated the whole thing and all. But then I will advocate and protect everybody else. That if he says he's not coming to class, no problem. I will teach everybody the rest of the syllabus and will prepare for the exam.
Wow.
So that was the kind of life that I had. But which is strange to the children of now. They thought that our children that were They believe in a microwave system of things. Believe you just wake up one morning and you blow. It is not so. There are foundational things that that are molds that must have forged you to become who you are. So that's exactly my own story. So when I finished school and the rest, I wasn't expecting to go and search for jobs and all. While I was in school, while I was writing my final year, of course, all my IT days were spent with Alhaji Moriadi Associates in Ebutemeka, where I used to travel from Lagos to Ilorin then, to do valuations, to sell buildings, to do stuff. And I was able to break a lot of records even for him. So things like the valuation of Bata towards the takeover or merger with Famad, it was a company that handled it. Apex Care, University of Ilorin, University of Lagos. There's no university that I've not been to do career evaluation, even MFM. So there are so many things, experience that I have professionally with that. So, and I told myself that after my first year of school, while I was doing my IT, because while I was in Unilag, I was also working, both for myself and also for that firm. So I was learning a lot of experience. I was gaining a lot of experience and also doing so many things out there. Then after a while, I delved into technology. At some point before my final year, I delved into technology. I started reading books about Apple, computers and some other things. But then computers were not popular. In those days, the computer department, even in Unilag then, was just a huge building with huge computers that I can feel everywhere. When they want to teach us, we'll be coming in batches, and they'll be showing us some dots in the dark, And I said, look, this cannot be fun for anybody. It's too abstract. So I used to do tutorials for people and all. Then over time, I went into building computers, based on what I've read even before my admission. I went into building computers and the rest. And I'm proud to be one of the youngest contractors for Unilag at that time who built their first supercomputers for them, for my department at least. I built that computer and there was a war that broke out, a battle that broke out on where the computer would be placed. Everybody was fighting to have the computer in their office, to the point where the person who even helped encourage the idea did not get possession of that computer eventually. So I had to compensate him with a Sony Vaio much later when I was leaving school, which was a wonderful computer at that time. They were the expensive computer at that. So I was making money from all over the place. And I was also impacting, sponsoring my colleagues, sponsoring people, doing stuff, paying school fees for so many people, buying books for so many people, getting handouts for people, people that are having difficulties in school, helping them with tutorials and all. So before I left school, somebody came to me and said, Sega, there's a project, a huge project that was about to be done. And you are the only name that was coming to our mind. They said there's somebody, they didn't tell me who it was. They said there's a big church in Nigeria that want to build a business, and a business that is also a solution to them and to their problems. And they needed somebody who can help to shape this idea. And everybody has been mentioning your name. That when it comes to computers, when it comes to this, when it comes to that, it is just you. And we heard your name from different places. So we want to invite you to that meeting. They say, where is that meeting? They say Redeem Camp. I say, where? Redeem Camp. No, I don't know where that is. It's a trip for me. I don't like traveling like that and everything. And I must also add here, while I was in school during my final year, before my final year, I used to travel a lot to Abuja. They used to invite me to come and do certain things. In those days, HNIs, high network individuals, use expensive phones, all those big phones that have contacts and all. The worst thing that could ever happen to an HNI is to lose their contact. In those days, the kind of phones that they had were these Nokia phones that has phone funny, and once you lose your phone, your contacts are gone. You have to start afresh. And it's your network is everything to you. So HNIs don't take chances. So they needed somebody who understands computer enough to help them preserve that particular thing. Because that was when I started also to learn that your money is nothing to you. And the Enyolasho thing means it is the people you surround yourself with, your ecosystem, your ecology actually determines who you are. So in other words, the way you preserve your network, because your network sometimes determines your net worth. So with that, HNIs don't play with their contact. They don't play with their data. They don't play with a lot of things. So they require somebody who is honest, who they can trust with their data, with their personal information, who can help organize their life. So hardly will you find in those years, in the 2000 to 2005, where you have somebody with computer in their house. People build special rooms for computers and they worship that room. They put nylon on top. They put double AC in that room because of that computer that has probably 25 MB as RAM, or space. But again, I have a lot of people like that who have recommended me and referred me to themselves, to their network. So I always get flown from Lagos to Abuja to come and do one thing or the other that are very critical to them. These are people who, as at that time, they don't even remember the number, the code of their credit cards or the password to their credit cards. I store all these things and their money never missed. And that's another place for integrity. And these are people who later became decision makers in this country, heads of states, who became, in fact, not only Nigerians, even people outside Nigeria, in Senegal, in different other countries, because of this same network. So I used to travel out and come in and do stuff. And while I'm still a student, while I still focus on my classes, because my lecturers will not take it easy if I miss classes. They feel, oh, so you feel you're not a professor, so you know everything, so you don't want to come to class again. So I'm always in class, always answering questions, and always humbling myself. If they need me for anything, I will be there. There is no doctor in my faculty, no doctor or professor today in my faculty who I did not contribute to their thesis. We wrote it together. I went for their defense. I sat down in their defense. I handled their projector for their defense. We spent nights in most of these theses, and I'm not talking about 10 people. I'm talking about more than 15 people who are prominent in University of Lagos. So if I walk into University of Lagos today, any department whatsoever, or any faculty within the environmental sciences, they know my name. It's as if I never left. It's as if I never left. Just say you did Sega finish here. They will tell you my life story in school. And I was a triangular student. You will never find me in the library. I walk in my room, from my room to fellowship to class, and back to my office in VI. So that was how my life was. I was a very busy student who had no time for social. In fact, I almost did not marry. Thank God that the Holy Spirit showed me my wife almost on my way out of school, who is also a surveyor and valuer herself. So this was how my life was. So when they invited me for this project, I said, why me? They said, no, you are the only option. You are the only person that we had in mind. So eventually I got to know that what we were planning was the project called Dove Media. The idea behind Dove Media was for Daddy Gio of Redeemed Christian Church of God to have a network, a business stroke, a solution, an IT solution that puts him in the home of everybody wherever I want to take the gospel to. Instead of begging Sky B or begging different networks to show his program and then giving him criteria that you cannot have religious program at this point. So you want to be independent and be able to show whatever it is that he's doing. So I said, well, we can build that. Of course, we've done a lot of things in the past. There's Dove TV, there's Dove Radio, there's Dove this and that. But most of them never fulfilled that vision that he wanted. He wanted that global appeal, and he wanted somebody who has a young mind and innovative mind who can do it. So of course they brought in somebody from Omaha, Nebraska, who was supposed to be a redeemed pastor to oversee, because I wasn't going to church. I wasn't a redeemer then. I was going to House on the Rock. So we started the project and they gave me a blank slate. That Sega, okay, do consultancy for us. Let us even see your idea behind what we want. I gave them we wrote the business plan together, articulated the idea, started the test run, and it was working fine. It was working fine to the point where we were broadcasting already. People were loving the program. Things were happening. And they were like, we want more of this. So we're creating content for them. And of course, as at this time, also I've been gathering people. I've been training people, young guys. If I go to a business center, anybody who attends to me, because I bring my computer, I'm probably one of the only set of people who brings his own computer to business center. In those days, those cyber cafes and all. I bring my own super computer. I use an IBM super computer, very flat computer, lovely computer then. So I bring it in, the guy will come, give me my internet stuff, help me set up all the things I need to set up and leave me alone. So that was how I started. And that guy, I said, this one that you're very nice. Which school did you go to? He said he's still waiting for admission and everything. I remember where I was in his age. So I took him along to start working with me on my project because he was very IT inclined and all. The guy is in London now. He was I think a studio manager or so for the London chapter of High TV. Much later, but that's another story. So when we got the program running and all, they saw the potential of the program, they saw the business plan, and they said, Sega, we have decided to give you a blank slate. They have decided to go all with you, to go all in with you. And they raised funds and they created I was close to £1 billion then. I have not left school. I have not written my final year student project. Close to £1 billion then. We started with 400 million or thereabouts, and then we bought 2 buildings, we leased 2 buildings in Lekki Phase 1, and we started what they call Dove Media. So when Dove Media started, people like Cobhams and all the people you hear their names today, they were in that studio. We had a studio, we have an administrative block, and we started churning out content. We were the primary content provider for LTV, Channel 8. We are the primary content provider for so many other organizations, and we started beaming live. Then there was a meeting that we had, and as at that time, I realized that I had the most wonderful board ever in life. Because I said it because all the MDs of all the banks that we had in Nigeria at that time were on my board. Cecilia Ibru, Erastus Otegbola, Erastus Akingbola, Jimovia, name them. All of them were there. And the board was headed by Elder Oyuri. So myself and the MD, and the MD used to attend that meeting. So they would tell me, you, Usaga, what is your plan? What exactly do you want to do next? I said, we need an internet firm. I can't be buying internet with the magnitude of stuff that we're controlling here. I can't be paying for internet service. In Lekki then, there was only CobraNet or one other company like that. They were not really doing well. So I said I was going to create my own internet company. They said, how are you going to do that? I said, well, I can do it. I have the know-how. And that's when we created DoveLink. If you look at the DoveLink stuff, my name is still there on their account tomorrow.
Wow.
So we created DoveLink. We were supplying almost the entire Lekki phase 1 internet at that time. And we're making money from it. So that was an aside even to the business that we're running. Then one day they said, we're going to buy a TV network for you because we need to go bigger than what we have now. And then we went to go and talk for FSTV then. I think the same doctor, Chief Dudu Shola, what's his name now?
Chief Alex
Dudu. Yeah,
Dudu.
Yes. So that was when we started talking about that. We took over that company, shook things up a little bit, started using their satellite to beam. And things were moving fast. There was virtually nothing we point out that we cannot acquire in those days. So over time, I felt that I was getting comfortable. Because in the comfort zone, nothing actually grows. So I said, it's time for me to begin to move. Because when you leave, when the ovation is loudest, I'm not here to praise myself. I'm not here. All the boys that I brought in, all the technical, I had like over 70 staff, So, and with that, there was really nothing. Everybody was established. We were doing well. And I said, look, you guys can lead yourself. So there's really no point me being here. I've created more companies than ever. We have more people and all. It was a community on its own. In fact, we brought life to Lekki phase 1 during those periods. So I said, look, I need to move on and all. And then, of course, the MD also was tinkering with the idea of creating movies, trying to use church economics to sell some other things, which I did not buy, an idea I did not buy. And I said, no, I'm not interested in that. I've done what I need to do. And you have seen that it has worked. We have profited from it. Let me move on to other things. So I left. I was supposed to travel out of the country so that I can marry. Because I wanted to marry then. And I was like, well, let me sort out my life because I was a workaholic. So I felt, okay, while I was in the valley of decision on what to do, I met one young man again who was not so young, older than myself, who I've met in the course of my DJing. I'm also a Christian DJ. In the midst of all this, I was a church boy. I listened to a lot of music. I have a lot of repertoire in my library, and a lot of people like to listen to my collection. In fact, most people that I know today knew me first because of my music, because of my collection, DJ Sega's collection, gospel and film. A lot of people must have bought those CDs in the traffic before. DJ mix and gospel party mix and some other things. The thing actually got to Nigeria before my original CDs came. Nigerian.
Wow.
The
pirates.
brought it off. They told me actually, they sent a message to me that, Mr. Sega, this your thing is selling. Can we give you 300,000 so that you can let us distribute for you? I said, I don't need your money. Don't touch my stuff. I will sue you. They say, my God, sit down there. The next day after that phone conversation, somebody presented that CD to me in traffic. He said, it's good. It's original. This one a correct one. Showed me my name, self. He didn't know who I was. Was showing me my own CD. I was saying, this is the hottest jam in town. So anyways, that's another story. So eventually, I met another gentleman who was into another vision. And so as at that time, every out of the blue, impossibility, innovative vision that anybody has, it is Sega that they always want to bring it to. Because they know I have crazy ideas and I don't argue with people with ideas. I always flow with the idea. I want to, run with it and see how it becomes possible. Because for me, I believe that the aim of our being in life is to establish the much needed, community, meeting of the minds, meeting of the ideas and everything. So I said, no problem, let's do it. Let's work together. So they said, also, we love your internet idea and all, and we love the things that you are doing for other people. I met a lot of people in Lekki Phase 1 then doing those internet things. There was this Italian school that grew up to be to become an international school that has not become a huge school now. In fact, if you hear the school fees of that school now, it is more or less bigger than Nigerian budget. You know, so and we started small from one room. We're supplying them this. We're growing from there and all. So many people. I met a lot of people then who are now huge in their visions, and we are part of that vision. We grew together. So I grew with most of my clients, running into 50s, 100s, like that. So they told me about this vision that how do you feel when people begin to see cable TV as a class thing? Shouldn't a malam selling goro under your house have a cable TV of his own that he can actually use, you know, watch football, enjoy himself? I say it's a good idea. I've always liked to, you know, build a bridge between the classes anyways. You know, I don't like the 1%, 99% idea. I want everybody to live in a country where they can call their own and have inclusion and have, you know, ownership. So I said, let's walk through the idea. So I joined in the business plan of that vision, and High TV was birthed. I was the technical manager for it, and I worked with another UK-based technical director. So the two of us traveled all over. We traveled to Europe, that's France, to start building, working with some other companies to build the technology that will drive this force, this particular idea, which is supposed to indigenize the cable network TV in Nigeria and take rights from DSTV. Of course, all the visions that we had were so huge, and we achieved everything, thankfully. You know, we got there. But of course, the same thing that plagued where I was coming from is the same thing that plagued the new place. We got everything we wanted. We took the rights. We became the household name in cable TV. We did what other cable TVs were not able to do. You know, we accomplished so much. We were living large. We had everything. In fact, it was the best place to be. We started from how many people were in the office? Well, about 4 of us or so in the office, and we turned into hundreds, thousands eventually. You know, even spreading our tentacles to different countries. But the time came when we were too techy for the new regime. You know, there will always be a king that will not recognize the impact of Joseph. You understand? So when that time comes, you will not maintain your place in the palace. So at some point, we begin to feel inferior, even as the brain behind the structure of the company. We started having our budget cuts. We started having several, things happening to us, and all. Most of us said we could not even be fathers in our own home. I could not marry because I was married to my job. I was working 24 hours. I was working on Sundays because every weekend, that's when we play super matches. And if I'm not on ground, my MD will not rest. Sega, you're in church. How can you be in church? How can you be in church? Sega, there's match by 4 o'clock. What are you doing in church? God knows you now. God knows you. You're already known. God, if you're not there, anything can happen. So I'm always there. So until one time something happened and I felt, no, this is oppression and this is not good. It is unfair. And I protested against that. And I don't think he took it lightly. He did what he wanted to do all the same. And I said, you know what? I can't work in a system where we don't listen to each other. I know the value I'm bringing to the table. I'm not working here for money. I give out everything I earn here. I buy computers for people almost every month. I do a lot of things. So it's not about the money. I already had money where I'm coming from. So I don't need this kind of, I want to work in a place where people can be free, not where people will be afraid of what can happen to them tomorrow. Because the kind of workforce that I had, every single technical person there was trained by me. And I know where I brought them from. So you can't find them because the kind of skills that we required then, we don't have it in Nigeria. So we had to train a lot of people and work with them, show leadership by example. If I'm sleeping in the office, everybody sleeps in the office. And I don't need to compel them. They will just do it because out of love, Sega is showing an example. So we were working fine. And I left the company. And the sad thing is every single company that I worked out on collapsed months after. Because that passion, you can't buy passion. You can't buy innovation. You can't buy, there's some things you do, even as Nigerians today, when they see you passionate, they think it's because of the money. No, it is your upbringing. It is a culture you have deep inside of you that has worked for you before. And so I'm passionate about everything that I do because whatever that is worth doing is worth doing perfectly well. It's worth leaving as a legacy to our children. So when I left ITV, I told myself, I will never. Even the company that I was trained in France, they were saying, well, come over, you made a lot of mark when you are here. Everybody want to work with you. They diversified their businesses and they wanted me to come back. I said, no, I need to serve my country. I'm already in my 30s anyway. So Why would I give up, my service to my country for, for work? There will be work all the time, because the time will come, I will convert. I never looked for a job, and I never worked on a job. I've been working. So soon, work became play for me. So today I work 24 hours. Sometimes I take little naps and all. I don't feel that I'm working, because it is what I was used to. My military discipline, my work during my technical years, my work as a IT manager for a huge company, an asset surveying firm. I was managing a whole company, in 2 different states. So it wasn't really work for me, because I enjoyed what I was doing. So I made a vow to myself never to join anybody in any business, to be going to work or to join the organization and be part of their staff, ever again on any business. So since then, I became a consultant. So while I left that system and all, I started giving consultancy services to oil firms. And I think we were able to raise and to start from scratch about 4 or 5 different oil companies, around that period. From ground up, the branding, the all, and I told you I was into art, I was into branding, communications, and the rest of it. So we're able to build a lot of companies, create a culture for them, build the company up, sat in their first contract meeting, help them build the narrative for the company, because people don't buy into what you do. They actually buy into the stories that you tell. And so the culture of your organization and the stories that you tell is actually what makes you go far in life. So this is one of the means through which we're able to help a lot of companies find their identity within the blue ocean, or create a blue ocean for themselves and cross over from that red ocean into the blue ocean, where people compete for the same thing. For example, there's no 2 oil companies that we created that are competitors with themselves, because everybody have their own identity, have something, a strong point, something that they are doing. They call it brand differentiation, something that they are doing that nobody else can offer, that is they are unique for. And they love us for what we do until tomorrow we get our retainer from such. So, and I keep telling myself, asking myself this question: apart from teaching people, apart from raising generational, leaders and training them in art, in music, in different kind of stuff and all, I said, what else can we do? Because right now, the only people who know my name are people who can afford me, business-wise. How will I be able to influence or impact the lives of somebody in Deep Akure, in Ondo State, in Borno, in Bauchi? How can you begin to do that? That was when we started building the idea of social responsibility, corporate social responsibility. That, okay, Aliens Media as a company, we have done a lot. We have influenced a lot of businesses and all in the business sector across board, even banks. There are many banks that we actually help build. There's something called, there's this special banking, wealth management units within banking system. Because again, there was a time I normally go to the bank and I see the way they treat people. I said, many rich people will not come to the bank being treated like this. Not everybody will want to walk into the office of the manager all the time. The manager will not sit down to be expecting VIP to come and sit down in the office. So you must have something called a prestige banking kind of, where I can come into a banking environment, where I can decide to work for the day. I can just come in, set up my laptop and sit down in the banking environment, get my account officer to have a meeting with me and work in my shoes for that day and see how I operate my business. So that when I'm saying certain things, she will understand where it is. That was where relationship management started from in the banking sector. And I think we started that with Access Bank. That was how we started with Access Bank, with the wealth management. So we were part of the creation of the wealth management unit in Access Bank. This was when Access Bank was still a small bank, before they swallowed Intercontinental Bank, before they became as big as they are today. So there are so many organizations like that that we influenced with the things that and we didn't do it as a contract. We did it because this thing should be done. This thing, if done, will foster better community, better society, and we even make banking more interesting. So we gave the idea to somebody else who probably must have gotten promotions based on that, but we didn't really care who gets the credit. And that's another ideal behind the things that we bring to the table. We don't care who gets the credit. Just create a better society that our children will be proud of. So after that, I started doing consultancy and the rest. And once in a while, some of my clients who were into politics started asking for, there's a point you get to in life when you have, you don't get promoted until you're overqualified for your present position.
You don't get.
There's a promotion. I say you don't get promoted or elevated in life until you are overqualified for your present position. In other words, you may start as somebody's IT manager or IT consultant, because you have been trusted in that field so much. Remember, Joseph was just an interpreter of dreams before he became a prime minister. Because he was overqualified from that consultancy for being taken from prison cell, into the Pharaoh's palace to come and interpret dreams. And they say, no, you can't go back to prison. You have an office here. So the same way, people have been doing stuff for, and over the years, they've seen that, man, this guy has built his name. He has integrity. He's trustworthy. He's focused on what he does. And he's amen. Anything he says is true. So can I begin to ask other parts of that's when they started asking me, can you help me put this? I need this kind of music.